Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. This is your girl, Mighty Stream. I hope you're doing well today. I am excited to spend this time with you. Today, we're going to do the spiritual principle a day meditation for April the 20th. Let's get into that meditation. The title of the meditation, The Journey Toward Unconditional Love. The Journey Toward Unconditional Love. We greet each other with the recognition reserved for survivors of the same nearly fatal catastrophe. This shared experience, more than anything else, contributes to the atmosphere of unconditional love in our meetings. This comes from It Works, Step 12. That's the small green and gold book, hardback, okay? It's called It Works. Most of us were pretty far from unconditional with our efforts to love when we first got here. One member shared, when I first started using, drugs helped me connect with people. I would get high with anyone. I started cutting out people who got in the way of my disease. And soon I was all alone. The members who welcome us to NA know the look of loss and alienation on our faces. They endured the same feelings we did. We empathize. For many of us, that's our first practice of unconditional love. We know each other's pain, so we offer relief no matter what differences we might have, real or perceived. Different political stance, different football team, different definitions of football. We look past these differences to see the addict, and we do our best to offer hope. The hope we offer is a form of love. In Narcotics Anonymous, we offer this love unconditionally to addicts seeking recovery. As step 12 in the basic text mentions, many of us believe that a spiritual awakening is meaningless unless accompanied by an increase in peace of mind and a concern for others. The empathy we feel for other addicts is the first taste, of concern for others many of us get. Let me reread that. The empathy we feel for other addicts is the first taste of concern for others many of us get. Working Steps expands the reach of our compassion, continually allowing us to clear out the conditions we put on our willingness to love as we're ready to do so. We aspire to love unconditionally. And even when we fall short, the practice does us good. Though the journey toward unconditional love is never ending, compassion helps pave the way. I will embrace the journey enthusiastically today. Let's take a moment of silence followed by the third step prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you. God, take my will in my life, guide me in my recovery, show me how to live. Just for today, please and thank you. We're talking about the journey toward unconditional love, and I really appreciate this. This is the first time, I've done this particular meditation on YouTube 3 times now. This is the first time I heard it. I probably heard it when I read it the other times, but this comment here is that we greet each other with the recognition reserved for survivors of the same nearly fatal catastrophe. How many times have we seen on Veterans Day or Memorial Day, people gather here in the USA in our flag's colors They gather in honor of our war vets, right? Our soldiers that died for our country. And we see them oftentimes salute one another, and we see them come together in honor of what they have survived, in honor of the combat, the war, the specific war that they have actually served in together. Oh man, I'm trying to tell you, I have some Marines in my family, right, that are still alive, and I have some that have passed away. Uh, the level of respect that they hold for one another is profound. And to hear this applied to us addicts in recovery, that we survive the horrors of addiction and we treat one another when we're in meetings and around each other, we treat one another with the type of honor, the recognition that you would reserve for a survivor of the same fatal catastrophe, such as the war with drugs, right? And so when I think about that, it compels me to take a moment of silence for the still suffering addict. We made it, but there's a lot that have not made it yet. And it is our responsibility to make sure that we do what we can do individually and collectively to make sure that these doors stay open for the people that have not yet arrived. It's my responsibility to make sure the atmosphere of recovery, an atmosphere of respect, recognition, and honor of other individuals that have survived the horrors of addiction. It's my responsibility. And if each one of us assumes that same level of regard and responsibility, of honor being displayed, of respect being displayed, if each one of us does that, this program, this fellowship, the ability for others to come in and sit down, get a cup of coffee, and just rest their laurels so that they can be in the atmosphere, even if they're high. Now, we don't want them coming in there using, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about being able to have a spiritual awakening that is meaningful because it is accompanied by the increase in our peace of mind and the concern for others. See, because when we go to the 12th step and we're talking about having had a spiritual awakening as a result of applying these spiritual principles in all of our affairs, we try to carry the message, right? It's more than just having a spiritual awakening, right? There's some action that is attached to that that communicates or is evidence that you actually have had a spiritual awakening. I look like a fool talking about I've had a spiritual awakening as a result of applying these spiritual principles in all my affairs, but I don't give a hoot about the next person. I'm the troublemaker in the meeting. Everybody hears my voice while the meeting is going on because I'm chuckling and whispering and judging and God knows what else, creating dates behind the meeting, trying to have a booty call. What? There's one meeting I've gone to, and most of the dudes, the men, right, that sit around along the edges with their phones looking at pornography in the meeting. If I'm lying, I'm dying. I'm not lying. I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen the newcomer come in that probably is known for being in the streets and tricking, be approached by men that have substantial amounts of clean time, but no recovery, and leave with them. Baby girl, come on. We're not getting on the fan today. So we create an atmosphere of recovery or non-recovery. And it's my responsibility. It's my responsibility, right? Anybody can do what they want to do, but it's my responsibility to try and create an atmosphere of respect and honor. And sometimes I do have to speak up and say, hey, we don't do that here. You're welcome. You're absolutely welcome. Matter of fact, why don't you come over here and sit with me? I've taken young, beautiful newcomers, and I've had them sit right there with me because I know not one person is going to approach them in the wrong way if they think they've come to the meeting with me. Because of that, I don't have any problem checking anyone when it comes to maintaining the atmosphere of recovery. And that's more than, right? That's more than just sharing. That's having respect and honor for everyone that comes through that door as a comrade, a fellow comrade that has survived the horrors of addiction long enough to make it into our rooms. Come on, somebody. I know I'm going somewhere with this because we're talking about unconditional love. We're talking about, for many of us, that's the first time that we've ever experienced unconditional love. I'm talking about somebody saying, keep coming back. We can't wait to see you at your second meeting, and actually mean it. That's the first opportunity for us to express what was freely given to us, which was unconditional love. Family, my name is Mighty Stream. I can go and go and go because I'm just in that mindset where I believe that I am fulfilling my purpose when I'm talking about my experience, my strength, and my hope, and other people are able to grab a hold of that and say, if she can do it, I can do it. And so I can just go and go and go. There's like this well of water that never runs dry within me when it comes to talking about my experience, strength, and hope from the lens of how I've been restored, from the lens of recovery. My life is not what I want it to be. There are things that must take place for me to be satisfied, but it darn sure is not what it used to be. And I believe that you can relate to that. And if you are one of those troublemakers in meetings, if you are an individual that is known for some of those things that we talked about, making issues with others over politics, right? Having issues with others over sport teams, arguing and fighting in the meetings. If you are that person, and I have been that girl, if you are that person, I want to tell you that you can completely surrender your will to the will of your higher powers. You can have a real impartation of your third step. Because I believe it's impossible to take a third step and mean it and continue to act out in ways that harm our atmosphere of recovery and meetings. Yeah, I know it takes going through some of the steps too, but I personally believe that the third step was a turning point, was the next significant turning point for me from the point of not using drugs. That was the next significant one. Because had I not already had some impartation of the second step, believing that I could be restored to sanity, I wouldn't stay in the meeting. I wouldn't even be in recovery. Oh, I'm getting excited. You know what? I'm done. My name is Mighty Stream. I've enjoyed my time with you, and I hope that you're going to have a beautiful day on purpose. I know you can do it. I believe you can do it. I absolutely intend to. I have some projects that I am excited about getting started today. Can you believe that? That I'm actually excited about decluttering my house and making donations and what? Who is this person? I've come a long way in these 30 and a half years of recovery, and I thank God for every moment I have with you, every moment I have alive. Hey, if you're a praying individual, I want you to pray for my sister-in-law. Her name is Sandra. Pray for my sister-in-law so that we don't have to suffer the loss of another family member. We've had way too many in the last 2 years, and I want to see her get better. So if you're a praying individual, please pray for Sandra, and I'd appreciate it. I really do. My name is MightyStream, and I will be talking to you tomorrow.